If you just woke up and you were hibernating, here's a morning breakfast sandwich, some coffee, and get ready. I have a lot to explain. So Trump announced tariffs a while ago on our biggest trading partners. And then he reversed them. And then he announced them again. And then he reversed them again. And then he announced tariffs on all the world. And then he rescinded them hours after they went into place, except for some of them. And then he announced bigger tariffs than ever on China. And then his entire cohort said, genius, and started celebrating the complete maniacal insanity that we're seeing from Trump. Now, we already talked about a different segment, other people defending Trump. Crazier than anything is Trump trying to defend Trump, especially because he'll just admit things like, as all of his defenders preemptively went out and said, oh, God, so good. It's the heart of the deal. He got an amazing thing. And you go, oh, okay, chill. Great. But what is it that he got? China exposed. How? We're still locked into a trade war. They haven't agreed to anything. Yeah, but now people know that they are mad at him, so that's good. Okay, well then why did you rescind on everyone else when you said that the tariffs was how we get the jobs back? But you're still baseline 10%, but what did you accomplish there? Well, everyone's calling Trump, so right. So that's everyone jumped out front to say that for Trump. Well, then Trump goes out as literally Scott Bessent, his Treasury Secretary, is going, no, this was the plan all along, and we're really proud of it. And Trump goes, yeah, I rescinded them because people got a little bit yippy. So people are losing it at Trump. The whole world is me, you, Jaden, Cole. Cole came in this morning. He's normally kind of reserved, and he was screaming. He was screaming about this. I've never seen him scream before, and he was screaming. Producer Cole, it's crazy. He was screaming at me. He was like, you suck. And I was like, so what? And he said, sorry, I thought you were Trump. You look kind of orange today. And so people are raged, but no one cares about if Trump doesn't care about if we're mad at him. People around Trump were angry at him. His own rich buddies were angry at him, leading to him saying this. As we are talking about, he paused the tariffs for 90 days, most of them except for China, and baseline 10% on everybody. The penguins are still being tariffed.
Here. Yeah. You started the morning saying be cool, and just a few hours later, there was a pause put in on the tariffs. Can you walk us through your thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, they were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents, they wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done. What was happening to us on trade, not only with, if you look at it, not only.
So Trump confirms there that my original assessment, your original assessment, most rational thinkers, that he saw people losing it at him. He saw people angry at him and the stock market reacting, and also maybe saw a really good chance for his friends to make a bunch of money if he told them ahead of time he was going to make this announcement. And he sent out that post saying it's a good time to buy. Very sketchy. And he heard from his buddies that this is bad. We're really angry. This is bad. And so he reversed it. So there, by him saying he's yippy, people are getting yippy. Yeah, God forbid we get yippy. We get jumpy whenever you collapse the global stock market. That's, by him saying that, he's confirming that all this, he's playing 4D chess, this was the plan all along, which why would it be, is absurd. But a lot more from his remarks yesterday. He said this as well.
And we have many other countries, as you know, many more than 75. And they all want to come, and they want to come here, or they'll go to commerce.
They all want to come.
Do not come. Do not come.
Right. Next clip.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sir, would you consider exempting some U.S. companies, maybe some larger companies who have been hit hard in the markets the last few days during this 90 days?
As time goes by, we're going to take a look at it. There are some that have been hard. There are some that, by the nature of the company, get hit a little bit harder, and we'll take a look at that. Yeah.
How do you determine the next 90 days?
Just instinctively, more than anything else. I mean, you almost can't take a pencil to paper. It's really more of an instinct, I think, than anything.
Often my advice to you would be, if someone's always speaking in hyperbole, it always seems like their hair's on fire, they're always panicking over something, probably not the most level-headed political pundit, but these days, the most hyperbolic explanation ends up being correct. So a lot of people were saying, hey, Trump's probably creating the system of tariffs so that he can then exempt companies if they kiss his ass, donate to his causes, etc. enough. And originally he went, no. This is about jobs. This is about U.S. workers. And I'm not looking at exemptions. You make one exemption, then you got to do all these exemptions. And now he gets asked, are you looking at making exemptions for certain big companies? Oh, I don't know, like your friends' companies. And he goes, yeah, we're looking at that whenever we reimpose the tariffs, if ever the entire Liberation Day plan is implemented. So he's admitting now he's going to get to pick favorites. And certain companies, if they do enough for him, if they're loyal enough to him, if they donate to him or his causes, then, maybe it looks like you are in a, I think we could help you out, actually. This is brazen corruption. Then asked, hey, you said there was not going to be a pause like a bunch of times. Why'd you pause?
What's your credibility like? Because you said that these tariffs would go into effect on Monday. You said no pause, and today there is a pause. So how can people believe your words today?
It's not a question of that. You have to have flexibility. I could say, here's a wall, and I'm going to go through that wall. I'm going to go through it no matter what, and keep going, and you can't go through the wall. Sometimes you have to be able to go under the wall, around the wall, or over the wall. These guys know that better than anybody, right? You got to go around them sometimes. You're not going to go through them. So I consider,
The guys were so confused. Sometimes you got to go under the wall. You got to build a tunnel. The tunnel's going to take you to a country you weren't expected to go to, but you just go there. You build a community. You build a house. You build a family. You leave your family for another family because there was a hotter girl. Then you build a house there. But then you want to leave. You could go through the door, but you choose not to go through the door, so you go through the wall. But then there's a hole in your wall. Do you fix it? These guys know what I mean. What? What are you talking about? So we have to be flexible, he says. Got to be flexible. Yeah, but you told us we sucked. You said you hate us. We suck. You didn't say those words, but that's what you meant. We're failures because we were panicking over your insane policies. And you said, bear with me. We're a sick patient. I'm going to make you better. And we said, we don't want you to make us better. And you said, I need to do a checkup. Take off your shirt. I said, I don't want to take off my shirt. You said, cough. I said, ew, stop. And you said, we're a sick patient. We're a sick patient. But now, are we well? The logic makes no sense. The whole argument was, no, we have to go through the wall. But now we're going to build a tunnel under it. But I thought you didn't like whenever people did that. When migrants go over the wall, you said it's bad. I'm confused.
And it's it's like a patient is sick. You have to do surgery. Patient is very, very sick. And Joe Biden handed us over a country that was in very serious trouble, economically and in every other way. They let China run away with things. They let other countries run away with.
No, actually, if you look at the U.S.-China economic competition, a lot of progress was made throughout the Biden years, and China has experienced a lot of talk about exposed. There's been a period of economic weakness being exposed in China that a lot of people didn't really know was there, that they had faked us out a little bit about. And we were seeing a global, I take you back to that op-ed that was written that was really fascinating about how the US was winning the global economic competition. Not just in the ways that we previously were, because we are the biggest economy, but keeping the competitive edge that we felt like we were losing. And then you said that we were super sick. And so then for some reason, you shot us. Like it's maybe we had like a cold, but that doesn't mean you need to put us down. That's kind of what he's doing, Jane. He's saying that it's sort of like, imagine you have a dog and it just has like a little bit of an illness, and then you just go drastically to putting it down. That's what Trump's doing to America. We are his dog that he's putting down because he says we're too sick, but we're not. I mean, we're a little sick, but like in the good way, like how the kids use it. We're sick. We're sick.
Because it does take guts, believe me.
Was it the bond markets that persuaded you to reverse
No, I
course?
was watching the bond market. The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had. Well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day. We had Liberation Day in America. We were liberated from all of the horrible deals that were made, all of the horrible trade deals that were made. And I was helped by people just like this, senator, congressman, and friends, right? And we had great help in the Senate.
Isn't it interesting how he's dragging them into it? Listen, they wanted to do it too. Ron Johnson, put Ron Johnson. He liked the idea too. Ron's like, no, don't bring me into this. I put this back up, Jane. I do feel bad for. I'm blanking on who these guys are. There was a car on the lawn. There was some car or something, racers. Who knows? But they should have to stand behind him and pretend like any of this makes sense. But he says we're queasy, and just you can't say Liberation Day was awesome when you just rescinded most of what you did on that day. That doesn't make any sense. Man, I've used that phrase so many times. I need to think of new ways to say it doesn't make any sense than this.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they've been talking about tariffs for decades. How come when these Democrat elites want tariffs, everything's hunky-dory, but when President Trump wants tariffs, all hell breaks loose? Do you see this double standard?
I love this guy, whoever the hell that is.
This is why the White House wanted to get to select who was given access to ask Trump questions to do that. Mr. President, why is it that the Democrats are terrible and that you're great? What the reporter, what the Trump cheerleader guy with a microphone is confused about is we all have discussed, see, and acknowledge when tariffs can be used effectively. Slapping them on the entire world, that you could only explain if you were seeking to isolate the United States economically, is not what anyone has ever explained on the Democratic side. They're not saying isolate our entire economy, which is what these tariffs would be aimed to do. Instead, it's, hey, we think that this industry, there's going to be price increases, but because it's struggling or for national security reasons, we want to incentivize manufacturing here. We know there is the workforce logistically there to handle jobs being created in this sector, and we're going to do incentives paired with modest tariffs to give a few reasons for companies to, great. Or we think that there's a real threat to not having semiconductor manufacturing here. All right, let's do a few different economic measures, maybe tariff is a part of it, to make sure that we manufacture those here. Fine. But on all products, many that we're never going to make here, and certain types of foods that we literally can't make here, doesn't make any sense. Then this.
Glad that they held back.
Gosh, Howard Lutnick is always, full screen that for me, Jane, is always so joyful. I really, guys, I'm currently, to those of you who have been asking, I'm currently not with a significant other. But of the ones I've been with, and my hope for my eventual soulmate is that I can feel this much joy, giddiness, and admiration for my soulmate as Howard Lutnick does for Trump. Every time I see him, he's just smiling and gazing at Trump in stunning manner.
Glad that they held back.
Said you were watching the market.
If this was the strategy all along to bring them to the table, why did you instruct or advise, or maybe they did it on their own, some of your top aides to say this is not a negotiation, to hold the line, that they were going to hold the line, that you were not going to change your
mind? A lot of times it's not a negotiation until it is. And that happens. And, I said outside that you have to have flexibility to do it right, and that's what we have.
Yeah, so this is humiliating. He said long-term tariffs, like when we were at our richest, and he misstates that, is how we bring wealth to the United States and how we bring great jobs. So this is a flip-flop, but as we've learned throughout his life, he'll never admit that he's wrong, and neither will his supporters. So this is going to be coined as the most genius play ever. Now, a really concerning phenomenon is this. Basil says LMAO, the amount of spy calls increased by over 10x, literally 10 minutes before Trump's announcement. So people betting on the stock market spiking right before a bunch of people did that. Weird, when there wasn't really reason unless you knew that Trump was going to make that announcement. AOC responds to Spencer Hakimian saying NASDAQ call volume spiked minutes before the 90-day tariff pause was announced. Not a good look at all. AOC responding, any member of Congress who purchased stocks in the last 48 hours should probably disclose that now. I've been hearing some interesting chatter on the floor. Disclosure deadline's May 15th. We're about to learn a few things. It's time to ban insider trading in Congress, she also said, continuing on this point.
Trump seems to be doing, from tweeting people to buy stock and then later announcing his development on taxes. If people are pissed about insider trading here at the House, look at what's happening at the White House right now and with the Republican Party.
Do you think he knew what he was doing when he sent out that message about stocks before he made the announcement?
It sure seemed like he did. I don't think that it was a coincidence. I don't think that Trump just coincidentally said.
So she's referencing that in the morning he said, now's a good time to buy stocks. And then a few hours later said something, which was the announcement out the rescinding, that was inevitably going to cause a temporary spike in stocks. He said that publicly. What was he telling people privately?
That buy stocks, and then shortly later made an announcement that dramatically inflated and dramatically raised a lot of these asset prices. And, I've heard murmurings on the floor that there may have been people that knew that this was coming. And I'm very interested in seeing some of the stock disclosures that come out when those reports are due. And I'm very interested in what members of Congress have been buying and trading stocks in the last 20.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really reasonable concern. But I will note that this is already the state of the stock market today. The S&P 500 down almost 5%. So it looks like we're going to wipe out all the gains that were made yesterday pretty quickly. It was a temporary bump because people knew there would be this excitement. Oh, the tariffs are coming off. And then a quick realization that, wait, the economic business environment that Trump's creating is still bad, as we discussed extensively already. Share your thoughts in the comments. Support the show, get the members only bonus show by clicking the join button below.